So today I want to talk about $600. I want to talk about this $600 joke of a stimulus check that is being proposed by the federal government right now. Do they have a clue at all what most Americans are going through? Because I'm really getting the impression they do not. First of all, this $600 had to be fought for. Bernie Sanders had to come in and convince Congress that $0, the amount that they wanted to give people, was not enough. And so they finally got together after all this time and came to the conclusion $600 was enough for the American people. They've had months to figure this out. And Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi have been fighting back and forth, and we've come to the decision that people get, after all this time, after $1,200 9 months ago, now we get $600. Canada's been getting $2,000, 2,000 Canadian dollars, mind you, but $2,000 a month since this pandemic has hit its peak. Other countries have been able to provide proper stimulus. What is wrong with the United States right now that we're able to fund a multi-trillion-dollar military budget, but we can't actually put food on the table for people? There's something effectively wrong about all this. $600 does not cover the cost of a person's living expenses in a month, let alone all the months that they've been missing payments. And then you get these gem of an articles from CNBC to just let you know how out of touch financial advisors and reporters are with the current economic situation. You get this article, second stimulus checks may be on the way. Here's what advisors say you should do with the money. Buy stuff you need. Pay your rent. That's basically what it's going to be used for. Most people are not in a situation where it's going to be used for anything but what it's already been spent on. So what are they proposing this? And who is this article being written to? You have statements like this. Well, if you're unemployed, furloughed, or have seen your income drop, focus on your bills. If your financial situation stayed the same, try to pare down high-interest debts and increase your savings. Because $600 is going to amount to anything in terms of savings. You've got this situation where, I don't know, this just comes off as ridiculously demeaning, and you get these gems. Well, if you're jobless, you should obviously pay for one of three things: either shelter, food, or medication. People are choosing between these three. This is not like, oh, well, take the one that you're missing out on and just pay for it. No, people are actively choosing between these three consistently over the past 9 months. I just did a video yesterday that I put up that's talking about the eviction crisis that's looming. And we're talking about, well, just use this $600 and fix your shelter, food, and medication situation. It's just going to fix everything, right? And then they go on to say, you could do a lot more to make it so that it's not just $600. It has the potential to be larger later on. Yeah, I guess technically speaking, it can make a difference if it pays down a certain portion of credit card, loans where they can have up to 20% interest rates. Technically speaking, then your $600 is more than $600, I suppose. But that's assuming that credit card debt is the worst thing that you have to experience in your life right now. And that's not even counting other debt like student loans or anything else. And they're sitting here talking about, well, rather than buying individual stocks, it would be preferable to instead focus on your retirement savings or your children's college savings. How disconnected from reality do you have to be to think that $600 is going to make a dent in paying for college now, let alone what colleges are probably going to be in, 15 years from now, 10, 15 years from now? And, there's this one line that really just hits me like in the worst way possible with this. It doesn't mean that it can't make a meaningful difference to your financial health provided it's used in the right way. As if people are just going to take this $600 and just use it improperly and throw it away. What do they think $600 is? What do they think $600 actually represents? Right now, there are statistics that in order to eat a healthy diet on even the most thrifty plan, for the average adult, it's going to cost you either $191 if you're a man or $170 if you're a woman. So let's average those to about $180 on the most thrifty plan available to actually afford proper nutritional food. You're talking about $180 for that. Utilities, that's probably going to cost you another $150. And let's say that's a generous situation where you're going to end up with having your internet paid for at the same time with all that. And that's very generous because I'd argue that that would probably add at least another $50 on top of that. You're now sitting in a situation where you've already spent half the check and for your utilities and your food for 1 month. And I am counting internet in there, by the way, because in today's world, if you want to get employed, if you're looking for a job, if you're seeking anything, you need access to the internet. And it's not like, people can make that really terrible argument that they used to make about, oh, you could just go to the library because libraries are closed because it's a pandemic. And I'm not buying the fact that just going to a library fixes it. That's not factoring in the fact that most people need to pay for transportation. If you have a car, it needs to be maintained. In some parts of this country, having a car is an absolute necessity. In other parts, like major cities, you could probably get away with a monthly, card or whatever, maybe like a Metro card in New York City, that's going to run you at least $100 in order to secure yourself the ability to get to the grocery store, to go to any potential interviews you might have to go to, I don't know, just go outside to do whatever is required even during the pandemic. And if you're not spending the full amount on that, your travel expenses are still going to be at least a sizable amount of that $100. To travel to a place where a bus can cost you $2 to $2.50 across the country, and then getting back, you're talking about somewhere between $4 and $5 to travel out of the house. Again, that didn't disappear because the pandemic's on. When you take all of these costs together, you're talking at least $400 for the average American, just based on utilities, transportation, and basic necessities just to get, like food. And that's not counting potential for a cell phone and what that might require in terms of a plan for potentially finding employment and having access to that. This $600 is a drop in a bucket. Because in all of that I've just mentioned, that's not even factoring in rent, which in the cheapest cities in the country right now, there's some cities in Texas that are ridiculously cheap compared to the rest of the country. They're costing $600 for a studio apartment. There's your rent. And in most places, utilities aren't covered by rent. I don't know, maybe if you have a lucky deal with a landlord that happens to be decent to you, but all the things I mentioned were not included. So you're talking at least $1,000 a month for a single person who's by themselves. Maybe if you come up with a roommate situation that's uncomfortable in a studio apartment, you can get that down to $700. But that's still more than what you're getting for a month. This has been going on for 9 months now. $600 means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. And that's, again, taking someone who doesn't have student loans, who doesn't have massive credit card debt, who has somehow managed to survive all this and been up to date on their rent up till this point, and has had no other issues. Now you're asking that person in that studio apartment to take $600 and do something with it? This is a joke. This country right now is an absolute joke. $600 means absolutely nothing to most people. We can do better. We need to be doing better. We need to be going out and protesting this. We need to be going out and calling for direct action, making phone calls to every single senator out there, making demands, and do what you have to do to survive out there, because there is no way that this is enough. With that said, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications. You can check me out on my Discord and follow me on Twitter in the description down below. And with that said, my name is Anarchist Tara, and I hope you enjoyed watching.